Hey, guess what? Did you know that I, Lovebird, under my other alias, Evianna, has a webtoon? Well, I do. If you like reading about silly little characters doing silly little things, then please go read my comic, The Silly Time Comics, up on Webtoon now. It will make you feel cozy, nostalgic, and tickle your funny bone. And it's completely free. So what do you have to lose? It would literally mean the world to me if you checked it out, so just click the link in the description below. Thank you in advance, and let's get into the video. Hello my friends, it's your girl Lovebird here, and welcome back to another My Little Pony video. Today, I am going to use my Bachelor's in Fine Arts degree as it should be used, and draw the main six. But not just the normal main six. Drawing the main six as other animals and creatures of Equestria is a pretty common thing for fan artists to do. But there is one species in Equestria who are sentient in perhaps the most bizarre way possible, which intrigues me. And that is the cows. Like, what in the world is up with the cows in MLP anyway? They can talk and are clearly intelligent, and yet are treated like animals on Applejack's farm? Like, what? And yet you're telling me that the giraffes can't talk? What in the world is this logic? But today's video isn't a theory video. It's a drawing video. So, let's get into it. I began my journey by trying to figure out what art style I wanted my main six cows to be drawn in, which I did by doing a quick sketch of this extremely basic practice cow. I wanted to combine three things in order to create this art style. 1. The style in which the cows are drawn in the show itself. 2. The style in which the main six are drawn. And 3. Adding a bit of my own personal style to it as well. Because, honestly, I saw on good old Google Images that plenty of people have drawn their own art of cow OCs for MLP. But I feel like, other than adding an udder and horns, many of them leaned a little too much on the pony side, I think. I of course do not at all mean to say that the art was bad. Much of it was very good. But it just doesn't really make them look cow enough in my opinion. I think how cow or how pony your character looks depends mostly on how you draw the snout. Like, a cow's snout is much bigger and wider than a pony's, and is usually pink. So when sketching this basic cow design, I wanted to take this into consideration and just make sure that it was a nice even blend between both cow and pony. Again, this is simply just a quick sketch to help me know what I should be aiming for when drawing the main six. The next thing I did was take a look at images of as many different cow colorings and patterns online as I could find. I think the wide variety of colors and patterns that exist is really interesting, and I wanted to take it into consideration in order to give each member of the main six a different color and marking. This will create visual interest and diversity within the friend group. When I was super little, anytime I ever drew a cow, it would just be white with black spots. Of course, that's a classic cow look, but it isn't the only look, and I definitely wanted to expand beyond that for this video. The first of the main six I decided to draw was to start with Applejack. This is because I feel like, of all the main six, she is by far the most likely to actually be a cow. I mean, she does live on a farm after all, and her cowgirl hat definitely fits the vibes. But also, I think she already looks the most like a cow too, and by that I mean she's already kind of the right colors and mane and tail style for it. For example, the tip of her tail ended up being really easy to draw since, in her original design, Applejack already has a tuft at the end of her tail, since it's tied back with a hair tie. This is just like what a cow tail would look like, having only a tuft of hair at the end. And as for the colors, I barely even had to change her original color palette at all, since some cows can be a tannish, goldish, orangey color. So I did change her orange very slightly to fit that a little better, but that's about it. Obviously, cows don't have manes, so I only kept the top part of her hair, as I will continue to do for the rest of the main six too. And for AJ, I think it fits really well, and was a lot easier to draw than some of the other members of the main six, as you will see later. For body type, just as many other fans often speculate, I tried to make her the bulkiest and most strong and hardy looking of the group, by giving her a strong chest and those weird little pokey things near her behind that some cows have. Just like Daisy Joe and the other cow characters in MLP have. When looking through the different cow patterns to choose from, I have no idea why, but this design where the cow's face and legs are white while the rest of its body is another color screamed the most Applejack to me. Maybe because a white face would help make her freckles stand out more. And speaking of freckles, some cow spots have a really interesting marbly texture to them. I wanted to give AJ just a bit of this marbly texturing, just on her flank and on her cheek, to kind of represent her freckles and her cutie mark, since the round spots on her flank resemble the round apple shapes of her cutie mark. As for her horns, again to show off her strength and bulkiness, I wanted to give her the biggest horns of the group, which I modeled after that of a Texas Longhorn. The color of her snout and udder I color dropped exactly from Daisy Joe from the show, which turns out to be more of a fleshy, natural pink, which makes sense since Applejack is associated with more natural, earthy things, since she is always outside, works on a farm, and is an earth pony. I'm pretty happy with how this one turned out, especially as my first attempt. I think she truly looks like she belongs on a farm. So, if Applejack is, in my opinion, the most likely to be a cow, who would be the second most likely, you ask? Well, I think it would be none other than Pinkie Pie. I think this because of how she likes sweet treats and baking, which often requires milk as an ingredient, especially ice cream. I think it's super cute how cows have an association with cute food like ice cream, cheese, and other dairy and sweets. The best way I can describe this is through a reference that none of you will probably understand, but I'll say it anyway. Do any of you know the UB Funkeys game? There's a land where the cow Funkeys, called the Burger, live, and their home is basically a sweet treat paradise, with a design inspired by, like I said, ice cream and cheese and all that cool dairy stuff. So, all of this to say, as the baker of the group, I definitely took that as my inspiration in Pinkie Pie's design. I even took it a step further and gave her an ice cream cone to lick. And if you think that's weird that a cow would be eating ice cream, you're probably right. But just don't think about it too hard. I don't know. I just think it's kind of cute. Shout out to that one quilt I made this one time that is literally just a gigantic cow licking an ice cream cone. Yeah, if you couldn't tell by now, I do really like cows. In fact, this is so off topic, but can I just say that I love Home on the Range? I know people really don't like that movie, and go ahead and accuse me of being nostalgia blinded all you want, but I loved that movie as a kid, and I still do. It is so hilarious, adventurous. I love the main cow trio. It is just so cute and fun, and why does everyone hate it? Sorry. Maybe that should be a separate video for another time. Anyway, back to Pinkie Pie. Well, starting again with body type, I drew Pinkie to be the roundest of the group, which, like with Applejack's bulkiness, is another common interpretation people take with her in fan art. This makes a lot of sense to me, as I think it matches her bubbly personality and job as a baker well. I thought it would be a super fun approach to give Pinky a pattern that almost makes her look like she herself is made out of ice cream. In order to achieve this, I took that same marbly pattern that I gave AJ, but instead of placing it sparingly in just a few spots, I pushed it as far as I could, mixing in a mesh of pink and brown and white to look almost as if she's made out of cookie dough or splotches of chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry ice cream. And on top, instead of a normal cow spot, she has a squiggly dark brown spot to make it look like chocolate fudge on top of the ice cream, with pink freckles to look like pink sprinkles. Yum! To contribute to the mishmash of colors, I made the two spots around Pinky's eyes 2 different colors, and her hooves mismatched in color too. I know in her normal design she has only one color in her mane, but with a name like Pinkie Pie, I wanted to add another splash of a more saturated pink. With these designs, I am trying to lean more towards a realistic color palette in order to help them look more cow-like, but splashes of unnatural colors here and there are definitely welcome. I furthered the round shape language in her ears, snout, and making her horns little and chubby and round. And yeah, that's Pinkie Pie, as cute and delicious as ever. Now, this is kind of interesting. I think of the main 6, Rarity is the least likely to be a cow. She'd probably find it too undignified or something. But, oh well, she's being turned into one anyway against her will. Sorry. But of course, for Rarity's sake, I tried my best to make her the most elegant of a cow as possible, which I tried to show in her body type and horn shape. I feel like there wasn't much to change with Rarity, to be honest. I knew I wanted to keep her white, since I think it shows off her elegance well by making her look spotless, clean, and dignified. I was thinking of keeping her just completely white, just like her original design, as some cows can be just completely white with no spots at all. But it made her look a little too plain, especially in comparison to Applejack and Pinkie Pie. And as we all know, Rarity is definitely anything but plain. So I gave her a few classic black cow spots, but only a few so that she would still be mostly white. One of the spots, on her flank, is a little more diamond shaped to represent her cutie mark. I was also originally going to have the top part of her mane and tip of her tail look exactly like her original design, just like I did for AJ and Pinkie, but it looked kind of weird without the rest of her mane, maybe because it looked a little too long? So I altered it slightly to fit her new cow body, while still keeping it extremely similar. I wanted to give Rarity those pokey things on her behind like I did for Applejack, as I'd hoped it would also help her look more elegant, but I'm not too sure it was as successful as it was for Applejack. I knew I wanted at least one of the main 6 to have a bow on their tail, as I think it looks super cute. And it just made sense that Rarity would be the one to have it, being a fashionista and all. She definitely needed an accessory, and now Rarity is ready to go. Being the main character, I felt that Twilight's body type should be the most basic, like the blank slate practice sketch I made in the beginning of this video. I kept her body pretty much exactly like that. Since Twilight's body color in the show is a dark purple, in fact I think she is probably the darkest color of the main 6, I wanted to make her a black cow. But unlike Rarity, who was a white cow with black spots, I wanted Twilight to be a black cow with white spots. But in order to not be so dark that it would compete with the black sketch lines, I shifted the black to a kind of super duper dark purplish blue, to kind of resemble the color of Twilight's mane. The shape of the spots were inspired by a couple patterns I saw online, which I chose as inspiration because I felt like they were star-like, such as the spot on her back. I made the edges of the spots very curvy and detailed, as it not only makes her design more interesting, but also somehow makes her look a little more fancy and pretty, which shows off her princess side. And the stripes allude to the stripes in her mane and tail. Again, I tried to use unnatural colors sparingly, but you can't have Twilight without a little bit of purple. And I think the purple stars and stripes make for a very beautiful addition, and of course relate to her cutie mark and name. Again, to be slightly more realistically cow-colored, the stripes in her mane and tail are a little different, only one of which is unnatural. This lavender color comes straight from the shine in original Twilight's eyes, and I thought it was such a beautiful shade of lavender that I knew I wanted to use it somewhere. The second color I tried was brown, since the last 3 main 6 cows haven't really had much brown in them. Of all the main 6, Twilight is definitely the one I struggled the most to draw the tuft of hair on her head, because honestly, without the rest of the mane, for some reason it was super hard to avoid it from looking like a bowl cut. But in the end, I guess it looks okay. Lastly, I made the horns tall and long to look like unicorn horns, since magic and being an alicorn is such a big part of her character. And she's done. This actually turned out to definitely be my favorite one that I drew. I think she turned out so pretty and unique. We drew the 2 earth ponies, we drew the 2 unicorns, now for the Pegasi. Now, like with Rarity, Rainbow Dash being a cow is kinda weird. Like, she wouldn't even be able to fly. But she can still be athletic in other ways, of course, and could be a really fast runner. So I drew her in a running pose and tried to make her look nice and sleek. For color, I thought it would be kind of funny and ironic if Rainbow Dash, of all ponies, was a gray-colored monochromatic cow. And since none of the other main 6 has been gray yet. That being said, I knew I of course had to incorporate rainbow colors somewhere, as, again, you can't have Rainbow Dash without some rainbow colors. I wasn't quite exactly sure where I would put the rainbow colors yet, but I knew her body being shades of gray / monochromatic would actually be helpful in making those colors really pop. Eventually, I settled on some random rainbow colored freckles, which I guess help make her look kind of shiny and glittery. For her cow spots, I tried to make them kind of long to resemble racing stripes. This would help make her look faster when she's running, and of course, the stripe down her face is a lightning bolt shape, just like her cutie mark. I tried to make her horns look kind of like demon horns, since Rainbow Dash is the most edgy of the group, I guess. And the shade of pink I used for her snout and udder is the most red of the main 6, since she has red in her mane, on her cutie mark, and reddish eyes, and therefore is the main 6 member with the most red in them, with Applejack having the second most, but only in her hair ties and cutie mark. So yeah, nothing else to say here, and that's Rainbow Dash. Last but certainly not least, it's Fluttershy's turn. Fluttershy is actually my favorite pony. Like Applejack, I was able to keep her mostly her original body color, although I did make her classic yellow lean a little more towards a goldish tan, and added other colors to make it more interesting. The spot around her eye is shaped like a flower, which is not only super cute, but matches her nature-loving personality, as well as the flower in her hair, which is the same color as her eyes. I made her yellow spots swirly because, like with flowers, I feel like swirls is another shape that matches Fluttershy's personality quite well, kind of resembling a gentle breeze, which makes sense since she is a gentle Pegasus. I didn't want to make her entire hair tuft and tail pink, as it would be a little too unnatural, so I went with a reddish brown, since pink is similar to red, which makes me think that if Fluttershy had a natural color hair, or if in Equestria Girls their human counterparts had more realistic color palettes, that perhaps Fluttershy would be a redhead. And none of the other main 6 cows had a brown mane and tail yet. I did, however, make her snout and udder the exact same shade of pink as her original mane. I gave her pretty much the exact same short and stubby horns as Pinky, since it shows how she is sweet and non-threatening, just like Pinky. As for her ears, something I noticed about all the cows in MLP is that they all have their ears swooping in a downward position, like how I drew Fluttershy's ears here. I personally am not a big fan of this ear style, which is why I hadn't used it on any of the other main 6, but I figured at least one of them should have it in order to fit the style of the cows from their world, and Fluttershy is definitely the top candidate, because this ear style kind of reflects her soft and shy personality. And actually, I think it looks quite good on her. Yay! And that is everyone, folks! Here is an overview of all of the main 6 as cows. Do you think they would be called the Moon 6? Wow, this was super fun to make. I hope to make more videos like this in the future, where I draw the main 6 as other species, so be on the lookout for that. Which of my main 6 cows was your favorite? Thank you for watching me draw, and this is Lovebird signing off. Bye!